Let's get back to the drive on the home of the Sens, TSN 1200. Now it's time for Need to Know Basis.
Welcome back to the drive here on TSN 1200. Lever Sage, AJ Jakubek from Winnipeg, Matt Conzvita. Here's what you need to know. First of all, you need to know that Game 4 of the NBA Finals is right here on TSN 1200 tonight, 9 o'clock. Huge game for both teams. It's the Phoenix Suns leading the Milwaukee Bucks 2-1. Game 4 in Milwaukee at 9 o'clock tonight. And again, right here on TSN 1200. The Boston Bruins have signed Brandon Carlo to a 6-year, $24.6 million deal with a 4.1 annual cap hit. So the Bruins get that done. The best goalkeeper in the world in soccer, Donnarumma, joins PSG on a 5-year deal. A minor trade in the NHL. Looks like it's an expansion type deal that the Edmonton Oilers have traded goaltender Dylan Wells to Carolina in exchange for future considerations. Again, going to allow Carolina to expose him in the upcoming expansion draft. And coming up at 3:20, Kevin Haim with our look ahead to the Open Championship. And the last thing you need to know is that our TSN 1200 Majors Golf Pool, presented by Royal LePage Team Realty, the undisputed #1 real estate firm in Ottawa, is absolutely free to enter, and the grand prize winner will receive a Google Nest Hub. All you have to do is visit tsn1200.ca, click on the contest banner, make your golf picks. The deadline's at 8 o'clock tonight. You have less than 5 hours to complete this. So don't delay. Get it done. And that's what you need to know so far on a Wednesday afternoon. He was terrific, AJ. Antoine Copeland.
Yeah. How mature is he for 17 years old? Doesn't even have his driver's license yet. Parents are driving him around to training, and he's been playing pro soccer for 3 years. So excited for him. He's a really talented player. He's turning more from a boy. Like you see him at 15 and he looked like he was 12. And now he's looking a little more like a 17-year-old and a little stronger. But he's a really talented kid, and great to see him get on the board with that goal. And again, I think 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have thought someone from Ottawa can make it in professional soccer. And, other than, maybe they can find a way to get to Europe in the lower leagues. And we've seen players like Eddie Edward, play a little bit in MLS and of course, had a real good career at the next level with, played for Ottawa Fury, played in the NASL, the USL. You saw with Jamar Dixon and Maxim Tissot, and Tissot got to play in MLS as well. And a few others. Chris Twardyk's a player that is kind of bounced around in lower leagues in Europe. But, you get someone the caliber of a Jonathan David that is banging down doors, right? I think not only does it help in terms of kids believing that, okay, that can be me one day, which is, a big part of the battle, but you're going to start to see more, because of players like Davies and David and just, what you see in the United States and some of the Christian Pulisics and some of the talent there, the Weston McKennies, all of a sudden they're going to be coming to North America looking for the next Davies or David. So there's going to be more opportunities for those players. But that's the importance of this league as part of a pyramid, right? Because, before there was kind of that missing link. It was either, okay, you either go get a scholarship or you go to Europe or there's nothing for you. Now, there's an opportunity to play professionally. And maybe if you're not ready to go at 18 years old, maybe you're ready to play pro at 23, 24, but you need that place to play in between after university, or if you don't end up going to an NCAA school. So that's where this league is so beneficial, and it's only going to get better. The fact that Canada went out and won their first Gold Cup game in such dominating fashion, and they did so without, Atiba Hutchinson, Milan Borjan, and Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, shows just how much depth we've got and how it's so dramatically different from even 10 years ago. And that has to do with what you're seeing in the professional ranks and the fact that we actually have 11 professional clubs in this country right now.
All right, let's turn our attention a little bit to basketball. We're going to talk some golf with Kevin Haim coming up. We're going to talk some hockey in the next hour. Laura Armstrong in the 4 o'clock hour as well to cover baseball and soccer. So lots to do here.
And before we do that, I do have a random question that just popped into my brain for AJ that is soccer related,
Okay.
but Italian soccer related. Do all Italian goalies need to be named Gianluigi? Because how many years was Gigi Buffon the keeper for Italy's international team? And now
for a long time, really, I mean, it's kind of the passing of the torch from Gigi Buffon to, I don't know if they call him Gigi, but Gianluigi Donnarumma.
But both Gianluigis, which I was just struck by that now, that wait, they share a first name, and conceivably, like, we could be looking at 30 years of, and I mean, we're projecting out for Donnarumma here, but it certainly seems like he's going to be the guy in goal for Italy for the years to come. We could be talking
maybe
about
even 40,
30, 40 years of Gianluigi.
Because Buffon made his debut for Italy in 1997 and played for 21 years for Italy, and you know, one of the best keepers of our generation. And now you've got one of the best keepers on the planet that is in his early 20s. And again, these guys can play late 30s and sometimes even into their 40s as goalkeepers. So yeah, we could see, you know, close to 40 years of, you know, basically having a rock solid option. I don't know if he sings the anthem like Buffon. No one belts out the anthem before their game probably better than Gigi Buffon, but he certainly looks like he's on track to having every bit as good a career as we saw with Buffon.
All right, I'm going to turn to basketball now. Is that okay, Matt?
Of course. Sorry for the digression there, Lee. It just popped into my brain. I had to get it out there.
It's fine.
Maybe any new parents in Italy that are hoping for international keeper, and maybe name your child Gianluigi. You never know.
All right. AJ, a couple of topics here before we break next and talk some golf with Kevin Haim, and they're both basketball related. I'll start with this. Off of the NBA Finals, the other story, Ben Simmons. And, you know, it looks like he is going to, the 76ers are going to listen to offers for what it would take to get Ben Simmons. Mark Stein, longtime insider, says, yes, the Raptors have called. And the Raptors are one of the teams. I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would be interested in trying to acquire Ben Simmons, depending on the value. But Mark Stein says, yes, the Toronto Raptors are one of those teams. And, you know, a lot of different scenarios could play out. They have the number 4 overall pick in what is considered a pretty deep draft. Certainly, Siakam has been underwhelming in the last little bit. You know, Kyle Lowry's a guy that the 76ers and Kyle Lowry have been linked for a long time. I guess my question for you is, do you think that there's, you know, some real value for the Raptors in trying to acquire Ben Simmons for their future?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good complement, a very good complementary player. But, you know, when you get a guy who's basically, I don't want to say afraid, but the guy just doesn't want to shoot the basketball. I think that's problematic, right? When you're talking about a guy that you're going to have to trade a lot for. So he has to fit into the right system for me. If you're giving up major assets to bring him into the fold, he's a very good player. He's an all-star. He's a great defensive player, but on the offensive end of the floor, there are some major flaws there, especially when you're talking about a guy that at times refuses to shoot. So until he gets better shooting the basketball and more confident in taking those shots, that's going to be highly problematic for him if he's looking to take the next step in his career, but can be a very, very good complementary player in the right situation.
Right. But if he does get traded, then some team is going to have to, because what you just said is completely accurate. It's, can he learn his lesson and change in big moments and not be afraid to shoot the basketball? There are teams, there are coaches, there are general managers that always think that they can fix some parts of people's games, right? And I think for a guy like Ben Simmons, why I sort of get excited being a Raptors fan that they could possibly be involved is because it seems like the rest of his game is fine. And the Raptors were known around the NBA over the last few years under Nick Nurse to, like, they play defense like nobody else plays defense. They try for the most part, as Dave Smart likes to say on this program, which, by the way, is usually on Wednesdays. Couldn't make it today. He will be on tomorrow on The Drive. But if he fits in defensively and is a very good complementary player and maybe could make Siakam better if you didn't have to give Siakam up, maybe you could change some of that, I guess, being scared to shoot. You can get that out of him. No?
Wouldn't you have to give up Pascal Siakam to get him? I mean, I would think that would be probably. I have a hard time thinking that they would, if they're looking for an all-star player back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else are you getting from Toronto?
What if I gave you Kyle Lowry and the 4th pick?
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting. No?
No, it for sure, because I think the 4th pick could be, someone like a Jalen Suggs, right?
Yep.
So there's, and I'm really high on what he can do, especially after watching him throughout the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, it's a great question. It's fascinating. I'd be inclined to keep the number 4 pick, but I understand why you would at least entertain it. And I think, their basketball people will go over things and figure things out, because if you're looking for a quicker rebuild, there's no doubt getting a guy like Ben Simmons would help. So yeah, that's a fascinating one for me, but I'd be lukewarm on that.
Right. I think though, if you're Ben Simmons too, and you're looking to go to a situation that's going to let you get your feet under you and kind of work on your game a little bit, Philadelphia, very, very tough crowd, right? There's some NBA fan bases that are very tough. Philadelphia is one of them. I don't think Toronto is in that group. And so would there be less pressure on Ben Simmons coming and playing in that team environment and playing good defense and just letting him work on a few things? I think the Toronto crowd would be with that, like, let him kind of perform and give him some time to be able to do so where other markets might not. That's all. It's an interesting proposition. Mark Stein saying Raptors, one of many teams, but the Raptors are one of those teams that are interested in Ben Simmons from Philadelphia. We'll take a break. Come back. We'll talk some golf with our good friend Kevin Haim. It's the Open Championship, and it starts tomorrow, the final major of the year. We're looking forward to it, so we'll talk all things golf when we come back on The Drive on TSN 1200.
Let's get back to The Drive on the home of the Sens, TSN 1200.
Welcome back to The Drive here on TSN 1200. Lieber Sage, AJ Jakubek's in Winnipeg, but he's here. And Matt Conisvita is in the next room, but he's here as well. Really looking forward to the Open Championship. Royal St. George's. And it's been too long. There's nothing we can say other than, usually he talks to JR, and we kind of let him talk to JR, but we're happy to have our good friend on the Gabriel Pizza Hotline, the host of Tee It Up, Mr. Kevin Haim. El Haimo, how are you?
I'm good, boys. We're excited. We got the Open Championship this week, and we get to take those stupid pool noodles out of the cups on Friday. So that's a good thing all the way around.
Well, some people love it. I golfed last week with a couple people that hit the noodle and said, "Oh no, that's in." I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's not in."
It's got to stay. Well, touching the flags, even we've had so many rules at our place. Can't have a break in the bunker, So nice to get just ball washers out on the courses and benches and a little bit more normal, right?
How's it been going for you at your fantastic facility out in Canada?
Really great. We've actually been blessed. I mean, we lost 8 weeks last year, and 8 weeks this winter, and 5 weeks this spring. So we've had a couple of hits, a couple of body shots. But as everybody I think knows, golf's been really popular. As you couldn't do a lot of other stuff. I must say though, guys, I am noticing a bit of a turn. Like in July, we're noticing a little softening of how many people are coming in. I think it's just because people can go to a cottage now or go out in a patio, and we're feeling like we're getting to the end, right? So we'll all be back to normal pretty soon, hopefully.
Awesome stuff. How do you break down this year's Open Championship? And you know what? Before we even get to that, what do you make of just? And I know this. It's not like this is out of the blue, but does it feel a little bit weird to you as someone that's been involved in golf as long as you have, to have this as the fourth and final major now?
A little bit, although it didn't take me long to lose that Glory's last shot thing at the PGA. And I think finally, guys, they've been ramming the playoff system down our throats for so long. I think we're getting used to it now, I actually think the playoffs and the Tour Championship is kind of neat. We've got the Olympics coming up this year. That's going to be a big deal this year, and then Ryder Cup in the fall. So lots more golf to go, but I actually really like I'm used to now the May PGA and the March Players Championship. So you've got one every month from March on, right?
All right,
anyway,
Kevin, you must love the fact that in golf, as we go into the Open Championship here, it seems like we're getting a little bit more personality each and every tournament. And certainly Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau have ramped that up. The rivalry seems to be a natural one, organic. I think it's fantastic for golf. But, when you get Phil winning and some of the things that he did after he won, and, DJ's always fun to watch. We're getting Jon Rahm, his story, winning the last major, just incredible stuff for him and how it all came together for him. It seems, at least to me, Kevin, like we're getting more personality, which I think is great for golf.
Yeah, don't forget the PGA Tour came up with that $40 million purse, right? I think it's 6 guys sharing that purse, or might even be as many as 10. I forget all the details, but it's for the biggest influencers in golf. So some of that's happening now. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm with you, Lee. I think it's real between DeChambeau and Koepka. I really don't think they like each other. But, I love all that stuff. It's great. And social media, Phil Mickelson's he's had an incredible resurgence, right? Like, I was always a Tiger guy, and I never liked Phil much. And then Phil gained the weight and wore those tight shirts. And, I never thought his persona, I thought it was kind of phony. I didn't really like the guy that much. I didn't think he was doing the most with his talent. He wasn't staying fit. But he's had a heck of a resurgence the last couple of years. And I got to say, when he won at Kiawah, I thought it was fantastic.
Just in terms of that personality, right? I mean, it really feels like both Tiger and Phil, no matter, because there were some people that didn't like either, right? It feels like both of them have kind of reinvented their images in the sense that, I don't think there's too many people that don't like either one now. Is that just something that comes with age and maturity? And do you think that, we'll probably be looking, if you're picking sides in this whole Koepka DeChambeau battle, that maybe 10, 15 years down the road, we'll be kind of viewing them the same way?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I got to tell you, I'm not in the DeChambeau camp right now. He's like a little bit of a man-child, right? And he insults people. Like he is a Rocket Mortgage ambassador, and he won the Detroit Golf Club they had a few weeks ago, or the event, the Rocket Mortgage at the Detroit Golf Club. And he missed the cut, and he refused to do a media interview, So that kind of petulant stuff, I kind of get the impression Phil was like that early in his career, right? Thinking a lot of himself, and he'll have to grow out of that. I don't think you just get it over time, guys. I think that it can happen, and certainly when you mature and, you make better, maybe even business and persona and marketing decisions, right? But Phil's done a great job, man. He's really funny on social media, and you got to give it to him, even if it's not 100% genuine. The attention he pays to his fan base is only second to Arnold Palmer. I mean, it's amazing. The thumbs going up all the time, and he's signing things for kids, and he's out there. I think he's doing a great job. Anyway, you're right. It's all good for golf. It's all good for golf, all this stuff.
Our good friend Kevin Haim joining us here on the Gabriel Pizza Hotline. The Open Championship begins tomorrow. Now, Matt Connesvita began the show with the song "My Humps," kind of the Hump Day Wednesday. We all gotta get through Wednesday and get to the weekend. But I bring that up, Kevin, because Royal St. George's, in many people's eyes, known for the humps and bumps that send balls bouncing in all kinds of directions. This is an odd course that even the best of golfers can get a lot of bad bounces. Tell us a little bit about Royal St. George's, because, I mean, you look at the last two winners are Ben Curtis and Darren Clark. Not exactly people you thought were going to win the tournament at the beginning of the tournament.
You nailed it, Lee. I think all that's dead on the mark. I mean, this tournament or this golf course is probably the least popular with the players because there's a little too much luck involved, but it also leads to great drama and lots of fun. Remember Thomas Bjorn? I don't know if people remember, but he had a big lead coming down to the 16th hole, left a couple in the bunker because that particular bunker had tons of sand in it. It's a quirky course. The Brits in general tend to leave their golf course alone and let Mother Nature take care of the scoring. And I saw a thing day before yesterday. I'm not sure if it's true, but they haven't done one thing to this golf course to change it, in the last 150 years. So it just sits there and they let whatever happens happen. They haven't cut the rough in 2 years. So, I mean, it's going to be intensely gnarly, and there are going to be some really angry, upset golfers, but we're also going to see some really neat, cool stuff. You're going to have to flight the ball low. You're going to have to keep your composure. You're going to have a hell of a creative short game, and it might produce. And I every once in a while, I don't mind that. I mean, you love to see your great players always be in there on Sunday, but the odd time, it's kind of fun to see a guy, whether he can handle the pressure, right? If he's a little bit out of the mix.
Dry and gusty is basically the forecast throughout Thursday to Sunday. How do you think that affects things with, basically a dry course and a windy course?
Are you with us, Kevin? Nope.
Sorry about that, guys. Have I got you?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I think dry and windy is exactly what we all hope for. If they bake it out a little bit, the ball's going to bump around like Plinko on the ground, and we're going to see more interesting things, right? There's a lot of spines that go from green to tee. There's cross spines. There's waste-off areas. There's all kinds of cool stuff. And around the greens, by the way, way more drama around the fringe lines. The fall-offs compared to some of the links golf we see are a little deeper and more dramatic. So it's going to be super fun to watch. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right.
You need a creative short game. You need that creative short game, right, to really keep yourself in it, because you're not going to hit every tee and every green. This is, I think, they said the least amount of fairways hit at any tournament. It's in the top three anyway for the last 15 years on the PGA Tour. When it was, the last couple of times it was here at Royal St. George's. So it's going to be fun.
All right. So who have the games to be able to do what you just said? A lot of people will look to Jon Rahm coming off the U.S. Open, and Brooks Koepka and Bryson will always get a little bit of notoriety. Can DJ win this? And for me, I know AJ picked him last time, but boy, Xander Schauffele, the highest ranked player in the world without a major. He has finished in the top 10 in 9 of his last 17 majors. This guy looks like he's waiting to win.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. He's let a few go, and that gets in the kitchen, right? That gets in your thought process, like Sergio for so many years before he won. But he's gone away from the arm lock putting. He went to the arm lock putting for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. And he's gone away from that, and that might give him a fresh feel on the greens. Schauffele's got to be in there, Rahm, all those guys. I got to tell you, Jordan Spieth is a guy who I like a lot because he's gone to hitting a low cut to keep the ball in play. He was hitting like a high draw and was getting out of control on him. And nobody's got those, nobody's a better 30-foot lagger and or has a more creative short game than him. So From the American side, although he might be not the number one guy you'd pick, I really like Spieth for this golf course. And then you look, I think some British guys, Tyrrell Hatton, we call him the hoodie because he was the first guy to start wearing the hoodie all the time on the golf course. But he's a top 20 player in the world that nobody talks about. Lee Westwood, you look for the karma of Phil Mickelson winning at Kiowa. Now you've got Lee Westwood, who's never won a major, and played pretty well last week. He faded a bit on Saturday, but he was still a top 20 player. He's played well all year. I like him. And Ian Poulter was only one shot out of the playoff last week, too, on the European Tour. So there's some potential for some really neat storylines with a lot of these English players playing golf in England, right?
What about the Canadians? You've got Mackenzie Hughes, Corey Connors, Adam Hadwin. Any of those players have a chance to get close with, just given how their games are going right now? And what can you tell us about Richard Lee, who's playing in Asia and will also be the fourth Canadian in this field?
I can tell you nothing about him. I don't know a thing about his golf game, so I can't help you. Corey Connors, great iron player, along with Colin Morikawa. Technically, you would think they both have a really good chance, but neither of them is a great putter. So if they get streaky with the putting and they hit those dart irons, they're both top 10 guys in the world for greens in regulation. Colin Morikawa actually going away as number one right now. But Corey Connors has a shot there. And then Mackenzie Hughes is streaky, but is a great putter. At one point this year, he was leading the tour on 3-putt avoidance. So he's a really good lag putter and a really streaky putter. I like Hadwin. I don't know what's missing with Hadwin. To me, he's got great balance, a beautiful golf swing, great putting. He shot a 59, in the desert a couple of years ago in Palm Desert. So any of those guys, I think, can get the job done. But, again, you need the luck, right? And it might be one of those kind of second-tier guys, like all those three Canadians, who are just bubbling under all the news headlines, who might sneak up there and have an epic week.
The other guy I really wanted to ask you about, because it feels like he's right there, but I don't know if he's past his point to win, is Louis Oosthuizen, right? Like, he's always there, and on American soil, he can't get it done. He's never won a major on American soil, but he has won a tournament, obviously, away from the U.S., and he's always there. Can he get over the hump?
Absolutely. I mean, he won the British Open back in 2010 by 8 shots at St. Andrews, so he proved he can do that. And, yeah, he can certainly get over the hump. I'd love to see that. Like you say, Lee, he's never won in the States, and he's only got one major. But, within the golf business, he's like a household name, right? You just say Louis, and everyone knows who you're talking about. So just an epic ball striker, and he's knocked on the door. He's got the old runner-up Grand Slam in his career. He's finished second in every major and in the Players' Championship. And he definitely has the game, too. That's what I like about the Open Championship, especially on a course like this. It's wide open. It's a little hard to put your $20 down and pick the absolute favorite because lots can happen on these crazy courses.
I like the fact you can get up in the morning and it's on.
Oh, I love that. My favorite week of the year, right? We get up at like 4 a.m., set the alarm, throw on the double espresso, prop up the pillows. Kind of feels, how when you get a few days off when you were a kid, either from high school because you were sick, but I mean, you were sick, but you felt good enough to watch a movie or something. You weren't really sick, right? It's that feeling. You just get up. No one's sending you texts or emails at 5, 6 in the morning. You're just watching the golf. There's no guilt that you should be out doing something else. It's a fantastic time to watch sports.
So you're going to be on 8 o'clock on Saturday, right in the midst of it all. That'll be fun.
It's kind of a weird show. Yeah, we put it on in the background, and we like to talk a little bit. I mean, you're talking to golf pros, right? So we like to talk a little bit more about the shots guys hit, how they hit them. So it's not that we're doing play-by-play, but we are kind of discussing how they're playing the game and hitting the shots they're hitting, right? This links golf, guys, requires more kind of even knowledge to call the sport because the guys are really flighting the golf ball a certain way and putting side spins on it and controlling things, right? In the U.S., I mean, anyone could say, oh, he hit it 320 off the tee and he's got an 8-iron because he's 165 yards. But over there, you've really got to know the game and control your ball flight and the spin on the ball and even the side spin on the ball, right? The guys will hit little cuts. So when the ball lands on the green, it'll skip to the right instead of skipping left. And so we'll talk about that a little bit, how to hit lower shots, higher shots, and all these little bumps and things they're doing around the greens. It's a fun show from that perspective.
Yeah, I guess my last question is, bragging about getting up at 4 a.m. When you go to bed at 7 p.m., that's not that bad, Kevin.
Getting old, man. You're right. I am falling the other night, Lisa. We got home. I mean, I talk till 7 o'clock and get home at 8:15, have a toasted tomato or something, and then she came into the bedroom, and I'm done. 9:05, I'm out. So, yeah, getting there. 56 years old now, Lee. Good Lord. I've been doing the radio show 33 years.
Come on.
Oh, wow.
Crazy? Isn't that nuts?
Well, you don't look like it. You don't sound like it. And more importantly, people are still learning from you. So I think that's all that matters.
Boy, Lee. Yeah, that a boy. Yeah, we're going to keep plugging away with lots of energy. But I will be up at 4 watching the event. It'll be fun.
Call you at 4:02. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Okay, boys. Thanks a million. Bye-bye.
All right, there goes
Cheers, Kevin.
Kevin Haim from the Kevin Haim Golf Center. Hazeldean and Terry Fox. Give or take on the Gabriel Pizza hotline. Gabriel Pizza, the bigger, better pizza. You can order online at GabrielPizza.com. Have to admit, it's a toss-up between this and the Masters for my favorite major of the year.
That's always been my second favorite. I'm Masters 1, Open Championship 2, U.S. Open 3, and then PGA 4. But I love the fact that you get some absolute, if you don't follow it super closely, right? We may tune in Sunday morning, and it could be Dustin Johnson going up against somebody we've never heard of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some grinder on the European tour, and I think that's great. I love just the unpredictability of it, and this course kind of lends itself to that. With just the players hate it, but I love the fact that this is a course that, like Kevin said, they haven't even changed it in 150 years. So I think there's something to be said about that, something cool about that, and that's what makes this tournament in particular. It's different, right? They all have their own identity, and this tournament in particular is different than what we're used to in terms of North America. Links golf is dramatically different from what you see over here.
Yeah, I'm a huge Open Championship fan as well, and a little bittersweet this year because my dad and I guess sort of randomly established a tradition quite a few years ago now where I think I was on vacation, there was a playoff, and so it wrapped up on a Monday. And my dad and I both drove into town, into Lachute from the cottage, and found an establishment there to watch the final playoff round on Monday. And it so happened that every year afterwards, we'd be at the cottage and drive into town Sunday morning to watch the final round. And because of COVID and all that stuff, I don't think I'm going to be making it up to the cottage this weekend to be able to continue the tradition, but I'll certainly be watching. And big fan. The Masters, like you, AJ, the Masters is my favorite, but man, the Open's right there as well.
I think my favorite thing about it is that in any golf course you can get in trouble. You can get in massive trouble no matter what. You can have a 3-shot lead. We saw Jean Van de Velde. We saw Thomas Bjorn. We saw lots of guys have big leads. And all of a sudden it's gone because it can evaporate in a second. Intensely gnarly. I think those are the two words that Kevin Haim used.
I think he called it a funky course too. Did he not?
Yeah, I'm here for it. Any course that's intensely gnarly and funky, I'm here.
I can't wait to see some of Bryson's shots bounce all over the place. Because you think with how hard he hits it, how far he hits it, and how different his landing zones are from anyone else, I think Bryson's going to be hitting some provisionals this week.
The camera work, the people trying to find the ball.
Oh, I cannot wait.
Okay, I don't have to remind people, do I, to go to tsn1200.ca?
You might as well just to be safe.
Well, I feel like I've done it a couple times, but it's absolutely free. And
you went Irish on us.
4 hours to do it. It's all presented by Royal LePage Team Realty, the undisputed #1 real estate firm in Ottawa. Grand prize winner will receive a Google Nest Hub. Go to tsn1200.ca. Make your picks.
That was like AJ doing Need to Know with Mark Anthony playing. Except it started Irish.
Deadline's at 8. Get it in. You got 4 hours. Back with more of The Drive on TSN 1200.
Let's get back to The Drive on the home of the Sens, TSN 1200.
Welcome back to The Drive here on TSN 1200. Lever Sage, AJ Jakubek, and Matt Conasvita here. Always fun behind the scenes and on the air here at The Drive. AJ's in Winnipeg.
Don't be pedantically.
No, sorry about that. Still have a couple hours to flush things out, Matt.
Time for some pedantry.
Yeah. AJ, some good news when it comes to the Canadian Football League, specifically in Winnipeg. Just announced that the Blue Bombers, August the 7th, as they host Hamilton, full capacity for that game. Fans will be required to be fully vaccinated, but that's a great sign. Full capacity in Winnipeg on August the 7th for their open. August 5th. Sorry, I'm getting it wrong.
August 7th.
Yeah, you're right.
Red Blacks' first game is.
Yeah, that's my fault, AJ. I apologize for that. But August 7th is the Red Blacks opener. But August 5th for that game. That has to be a good sign when it comes to, I know we're not Manitoba. I get it. But as you look through,
better shape than Manitoba, I think.
Yeah, and if you look 3 weeks further than that, that's when the Red Blacks play their home opener. And I don't want to count my chickens, but anyway, I just feel like this is really good news.
Yeah, I think, the reality is there's going to be, from what I understand, when you talk to people in the sporting community, and again, I haven't been, I follow the news, but I haven't been on every detail, but sounds like there's going to be another stage potentially 3 weeks after we enter stage 3 on Friday. And, if all goes well and all continues to go well, then, full capacity is going to be coming to Ontario stadiums, and that includes TD Place as well. So that's exciting news. Yeah, I was at IG Field today watching Atletico train here in Winnipeg. And it's just a magnificent stadium. It's always been, just in terms of stadiums, my favorite to visit around the league on the road.
How come?
It looks fantastic. And everything about it, the atmosphere is always good. It just looks really good, right? You feel like you're in a great venue when you're in IG Field. Whereas, there's a couple around the league, most notably Calgary, where it's like, okay, this thing needs to come down, sooner rather than later. But no, a fantastic facility. And all I could think of is, number one, there's going to be a couple thousand fans there tomorrow for the game against Atletico, which is exciting to actually go. And I've been to sporting events since. I've been fortunate enough to call games in 3 different sports now, in hockey and basketball and in soccer. Bubble last year in PEI for soccer, B-Sens this year for hockey, and the first 4 home games for the Ottawa Blackjacks. And of course, they're going to welcome fans this Saturday night as well, thousands. So that's exciting. But yeah, I haven't been to a game where there's actually fans. And to me, that's where it's going to be kind of the next step. And it starts with, for me at least, this game with 2,000 people there tomorrow night in Winnipeg. But you can't help but look around at that beautiful facility and say, yeah, how awesome will this be with full capacity and the Bombers playing on opening night in a Grey Cup rematch 2 years later against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So, very encouraging news, because again, when you come to Manitoba, like it kind of feels like the pandemic's gone nowhere, right? Like you literally get off the plane and, I had my protocols. I've taken, I think, 3 COVID tests since Friday, plus a couple of rapid tests as well, and have another rapid test tomorrow and another PCR test after that. So when you go through all that, you kind of think, well, is the pandemic really over, right? Even though you are double vaxxed, but excuse me, the reality is when you arrive in Manitoba, they give you the sheet. And the reason why you have to do all that type of stuff when you arrive is because people still, like, even province to province, have to, when they arrive in Manitoba, as of right now, I don't know when it changes, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So it's kind of mind boggling arriving, getting that piece of paper and realizing, oh, they're still in this mode. And I know they were hit harder later than pretty much the rest of Canada. And I think they're starting to come out of that a little bit. But yeah, encouraging that it just feels like step by step we're getting a little closer to where we need to be.
And some good news, Toronto FC, CF Montreal are going to play at home this Saturday as well. That was just announced today that Montreal will be able to host FC Cincinnati this Saturday based on updated cross-border public health legislation enacted on July the 5th. So, yeah, I mean, we keep saying that things are going in the right direction, but the more announcements like that we're able to make, the better it seems, at least in this province, that, you know, by the time we get to August, and if the numbers keep going up, you look at those couple of dates, August the 14th for Atletico, Ottawa, and August the 28th for the Ottawa Redblacks, and go, boy, there's some real hope there.
Well, and you know, I feel, and I know they're highly paid athletes, especially in Major League Baseball, and the NBA when it comes to the Raptors and the Blue Jays. You know, a lot of MLS players make a real good living as well. But I'm happy for those players that they actually get to come home, right? I think that's fantastic for them. I mean, you just talk to the players here and they're itching to get back into Ottawa. We talked a little bit with Antoine Copeland about that, the fact that, okay, they went to Madrid for 2 months to train, then they got back to Ottawa, were in quarantine for 2 weeks, and then came straight to a bubble where, you know, the restrictions are as strong as they were last year in PEI. They're not allowed to leave the hotel other than to go to the stadium to train or to play the games. So, you know, I think it's one thing if you're single and you still, you know, that's still a long time to be away from home, but there's players with families, right, that don't get to see their families. Like even seeing that footage the other day of Lionel Messi, you know, just hugging his wife when he got back to Argentina, because same sort of deal, right? When they were at Copa America, they were quarantined and away from the general public and away from their families. So anyone that has children, a wife, girlfriend, whatever, that's going to take its toll, especially when you're away from home for a long period of time.
All right, we'll take a break, and Callum Fraser from the CFRA 580 News Desk will be along talking about how many cases in Ottawa today for COVID, and I think it's Sam Mitchell.
We had guys that had a stat line 0-0-0-0-0.
Kind of spoiled Callum's newscast, but he'll have more on that and exciting.
Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it.
I know. Thank you, Bill. Always good to hear from you. What's going on with gyms coming up and more. So Callum will have that. AJ will have what we need to know in the 4 o'clock hour. A little bit later, 4:40, Laura Armstrong from the Toronto Star to talk some baseball, to talk some soccer, to talk some basketball. Laura can speak about everything. So we'll do that. And I'm at least going to throw it out to you guys whether a certain player is a possibility here in Ottawa for the Senators. And we'll do that when we come back in hour number 3 of The Drive on TSN 1200.